it well. Played it very, very, very well indeed.
No more slices for you.
Oh, look at that for judgment.
You'll learn.
Right, it was high time for another bonus episode for our subscribers on Sliced, and it might be the biggest bonus so far, I think. We're delighted to be joined by Sir Nick Faldo, who's found time in a busy schedule to join us. Nick, can I just say what a thrill it is to be able to speak to one of my childhood heroes? My granddad would be very proud right now. He would. We used to watch you in the mid-90s, towards the end of your playing career, and my earliest memories of watching golf were certainly coloured by yourself. So it's a great thrill to speak to you. I'm sure for you, it's been a thrill to host the British Masters in recent years, and we are talking not too long after that. It was another great finish at the Belfry. It's been a great tournament the last few years.
Yeah, good week, good atmosphere, wasn't it? Yes, the crowds were great, quite good stuff. The fan village goes well. We got new ideas. Yeah, we just keep trying to step things up a bit. We will have a new sponsor for next year, which was good. There was at least 4 companies very interested in the tournament, so that's great. Maybe the tour will give us a little different date. I mean, if we could just get away from the tour championships, if the guys knew that, it's more the guys who know, like, oh, I've missed, I'm not going to make it, still get a week off, and then they're going to start, come to Europe for this back nine and start there. So yeah, every year we try to get a little better, and we are, and and already got some thoughts for next year, what we want to try and do, mainly for outside the ropes, for the fans, to have some really fun things to attract. And and I had my grand final. That went very well. I had my grand final on my Faldo Futures, which was great. You had 230 little darlings, as I say, to entertain. So that went very well. So hopefully that will keep going as well. So yeah, it was a good week. Yeah.
I've pledged to get there next year because it's not too far from where I am, and my son's just
you should. Yeah. Do come on down. I got a wonderful pavilion.
Oh, lovely!
With wonderful food.
That sounds like a private invitation.
I get fed watered really well that week.
The Ryder Cup obviously colours everything at the moment. So yeah, it's all everyone's talking about. It just struck me in watching it over the weekend at the British Masters that, the task that Rasmus Højgaard faced was one that you'd have relished. Go out there and get the job done, sort of looking over his shoulder instead of necessarily worrying about winning the tournament. It almost feels like he's not enough credit. How impressed were you by his ability to go and do that?
Yeah. People don't appreciate that. Yeah, because there was a moment where he made a mess of, I think, the 6th or something, and you could be looking. Oh, I'm only a couple inside the cut line right now, and it could all go completely wrong. But yeah, just because it's you still got to go out and do it, haven't you? And it's a different mindset to be able to say, well, I'm on a mission to do something this week, and it's got to happen. I've got to make it happen, and I want to make it happen. We'll put all of that together, and he showed that he kind of relished that and got better and better through the week. So, which is great, isn't it? That's the sort of guys you want to. That's exactly the guy you want for our 12th man. Just say, our only rookie in the team. He shows he's got good mettle. So that's great. I'm really bullish about. And I keep hearing comments that I feel that the team is on a mission. They know. I mean, they talked. I was listening to so many interviews. 2 years ago, after winning in Rome, it was a bit like us when we won at Belfry in '85. We sang, "We're going to win in America" for '87. So you already got that. So I think that the team, players, the team, that's their goal, to go and win in America. They know it's going to be tough, but hey, that makes it even better. Everybody always talked about the depth of the American team, didn't they? They always had, say, at least 10 really good players out of the 12. Well, we've taken time, but we've turned that around. We've got the great depth now, haven't we? I mean, that's the really, 11 of the guys were there in Rome, and even Rasmus was there as well, which is something I did. Let some of the future players come and feel the heat, feel the atmosphere, the whole intensity of it. So I think we've got the depth this time. At the end of the day, it's after all the analysing and all of the, the team that actually makes more birdies will end up winning. It's as simple as that. It's just got to go and play great. That's the playing great will take care of. Making birdies, winning holes will take care of everything.
Absolutely. Obviously, in the end, Luke Donald's gone with experience, as most of us, I think, expected him to do. But just a quick word on Marco Penge, because I know he's one who's come through the Faldo series. It's probably 10 years, is it, since he was winning events that you were running, and I'm sure there was part of you that was hoping he'd do enough, but maybe in 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're in a good position where we're starting to get guys. As I said, the depth has gone outside the 12. That's, I remember years ago when they were saying, well, America could have fielded the B team and we would have been in trouble. But that has done a nice twist now, a nice turn, where I think we're going to start having the depth. And sure, there will be a transition. I mean, in some of the guys, you assume the guys getting older, Justin Rose, that sort of thing. We'll lose a couple from the team, and they will be replaced by those sort of players. And I hope those players are on a mission at the same thing, because as we all know, it's such a fantastic event. It's worth gearing up physically and mentally. I used to say to myself, this is Ryder Cup year, this is Ryder Cup season, and you just make sure you play in enough tournaments, and you make sure even if you're having a bad week, you just keep pushing, because you think you never know. This might come down to a couple of shots, gets me in the team. So it's worth giving, even if you're finishing 30th. You used to say, well, you keep busting your, to try and, even if I finish 25th, it's better than finish 30th. So keep trying all the time.
I'm talking to this one in particular, Nick. So obviously people are expecting a particularly hostile atmosphere. And I'm wondering, for yourself in your playing days, in your prime, what was the most hostile atmosphere you played in? I mean, people talk about the War by the Shore. It was a little bit before my golf watching time, but was that? That
was probably the first one, when you get people, when you walk to the green, we go 3-putt, 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 just trying to sow some seeds. This one could get a little more personal. I don't think we had anything personal. There's a little bit over the years, but you kind of sense. But again, I tried to look. This is not going to be a surprise. It's not going to be, oh my goodness, somebody shouted something. So they just got to know what their game plan is and how they're going to deal with it. That's the most important thing. It's something will be said at the wrong time, that sort of thing. I mean, hopefully if it's somebody giving you abuse, well, hey, you've got to have your own personal way of looking at them and laughing, feeling sorry for them, or that sort of thing. Or if it gets very serious, I'm sure there's going to be whatever they call it, the protocol to have them removed or whatever. It gets way over the top. We don't know. I doubt it. It's the fact that the tickets are $750. So, to go and have a day at the golf is going to cost you $1,000 by the time you've got there and fed yourself. So that, that might eliminate a few of somebody wants to go and, be an arse, So you got that. Plus, we were talking about the golf course as well. I mean, you actually going to have to track it. You proper fans, you're going to have to go and walk it. You can't. There's like the back of 9, and then 10 goes out, 11 comes back, 12 goes back there. I can't think of another area where you can just park yourself and see a bit of golf. There's only one. So if you want to go with only 4 matches. You got to walk it. Well, that would be deemed more of a proper golf fan, wouldn't it? If you're going to have to get out there in the trees, and it's a good walk. I mean, it's a wonderful golf, and I'm thinking that as a positive for the players as well. If something does happen, I think the caddies have an important role to say, right, dealt with that. Come on, we got a really important shot to play. But you're always together as 2 guys are always really close together. You work as a team. You really do. I mean, it's like, especially, well, even if you're playing 4-ball, you hit your shot and go over to your partner and say, well, I did this, I did that. Try and do this, whatever's happening with the environment around. So yeah, you're always working together. Hey, if you're up in your match, you couldn't care less what somebody says. It's when you've just gone from 1 to 2 down, and then they start beating on you. Then that's not as easy. So it's the mental strength of certain situations that you're going to have to know how to deal with.
Yeah. I'm just going to skip on to so the US team. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about Keegan Bradley and whether or not he was going to pick himself. Obviously, in the end, he didn't. Just wondered if what your opinion was on that. Do you think he made the right call in the end to not pick himself?
I know he can't do 2 jobs. I would say that's first. So he's either going to pick himself and play, and then have to designate his captaincy to somebody else. I mean, he's had an excellent season, hasn't he? There's some of those guys at the bottom end. He won. He outplayed quite a few guys, that sort of thing. To be honest, I think, as you may run out of opportunities to play as you get older. So that was probably a really tough decision, because he loves it and he wants to play. You could always have negotiated and said, look, this came as a shock that I'm playing this well. I would love to play, guys. He could have flagged that even a couple of months ago. So yeah, that was a tough decision. Personally, I think you would have said, well, if I'm good enough and I'm actually in the team and my record actually flat out stacks up, he should have played. And then found a way to give his captaincy to somebody else, and then said, any chance I can get my captaincy back in another 2 or 4 years' time. I mean, so yeah, tough decision for him, but he couldn't do both. It was one or the other. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Ben and I have talked about this and see it as quite a selfless act in many ways, in the sense of he potentially has given up his last chance, or could end up being his last chance of playing.
Yeah. I think that was a tough. As a player, he should have played. If you're in it, which he just about was, wasn't he? Was he technically 11th man on his points?
I think he was higher than that. I think he was even higher than that, but I could be wrong.
3 and high, yeah. I think he did get, and then look what he'd done in all the tournament. Obviously winner and what have. I bet he was Morikawa hasn't won this year, has he?
No, came close at Bay Hill, but hasn't.
Yeah, but he hasn't. He's a little off, not quite the same. Who else? Cantley hasn't won, has he?
No, Burns as well.
He's done his bit. I mean, Cam Young. Has Cam Young even won this year?
Oh yeah, he won. Yeah. Finally got over the line. Yeah.
Finally got over. Yeah. So, but he had good majors as well. He was in the thick end. Yeah, that's a tough decision. I think he might wake up and think, "Oh, I wish I played one more time." Could have done that.
Sounds like you're fairly hopeful with Europe, Sonic. You think going there? Obviously,
I am. I'm genuinely. Yeah, I'm not just sure. I'm going to be biased, but I genuinely think, I've been seeing that the guys are on a mission. Which probably started 2 years ago. It's like, why not? If you want to take it up a notch, there's no better thrill. Memories. Those are my great memories from Ryder Cup. The 87 first time winning an American, and obviously what we did in 95 as well. those two for me are very special. So yeah, if you want memories, you go and win in America. Yeah.
And just to wrap up this sort of part of the season in Europe, we're speaking to you during Wentworth, and there's days after Rory McIlroy won in Ireland.
Yeah.
Now we've spoken about how loud it was on the 18th green when he held that putt
Yeah.
in regulation. I'm sure you've heard it. Is there anything that compares to from your career, that volume?
No, not really. I can't think of. No, he's enjoying. I mean, the scenes there were amazing, weren't they? I mean, obviously he's the home boy. What an incredible year, historic season, and to do that there again, and that whole atmosphere, and to do it in that style is pretty. I'm trying to think what I've hold it. When it was a world match play, I made that putt in the world match play. I was 2 down to Woodsley and shot 7 under for the last 7 to beat Woodsley on the 8. That was for me was a leap in the air because of something, but not when you got tens of thousands of adoring fans. They loved it. It was a historic moment. Ireland has always been a favourite on tour. It was always great atmosphere. We used to have fun back in the Carroll days when we were at Portmarnock and Royal Dublin. My goodness, we got some great stories. So from there,
Any shareable ones?
What's that?
Any shareable stories?
Oh yeah, they are funny. No, it's funny. So we were at when we went to Royal Dublin, they have to drive across the causeway, to get to the and I can't. It was one guy. The two bosses of Pierre Carroll. One was Paddy. Oh, I can't. Sorry, guys, I can't. It's 30 or plus. You can't. So they said, "Hey, come and see this. I've spotted something." So they went out and stood in the corner by the clubhouse, and they saw the St. John's ambulance come across. You see, and the doors opened, and 12 people get out the back of the ambulance. No tickets. So the ambulance was going backwards, and they watched it. And the ambulance goes back across the causeway and comes back in, and another dozen people get out the ambulance. And they go over to the guy and they go, "How long have you been doing this for?" And he says, 12 years. He says, "Carry on then, it's a tradition." It was so I thought, true as I said, I thought that was, they said, "Well, what can we do about that?" So that's a tradition of the Carroll. That's the sort of thing. Another guy cut a hole in the fence at Portmarnock and was charging people 50p to get through his hole in his fence to get into. So yeah, it's all sort of character things like that, which used to make that open really special. So it was funny. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because my next question was going to be about Augusta, and I'm just trying to imagine someone trying to pull that sort of stunt there.
Yeah, well, there's a thing called Gate 6 at Augusta. If you do anything wrong, you go to Gate 6 and you basically never come back.
Blimey, that's very silly.
Your name gets crossed off the list. So that's why everybody is very, they have the power to, your ticket is boom, done, mate. That's it. You might wait. It's hard luck if you waited 15 years for your ticket. So, anyway.
I was thinking the other day about, after McIlroy won, and you mentioned what a great year he's had. I just take you back to your line. You might not remember it in commentary. On Sunday at the Masters, you said along the lines of one great shot, one great putt, and it's his.
Yeah.
But one poor shot and one poor putt, that's the knife edge he's on. It's an incredible moment. And I just wonder, have you allowed yourself to wonder, and whether McIlroy himself will have allowed himself to wonder what if? Because had he not won that after Pinehurst?
Yeah, no, I did. I thought about it. Yeah, I said that line, which what I felt when I was playing. I remember my first Open. That's exactly how I felt. And then the hilarious thing is with Rory was he had like 6 of them, didn't he? He starts with a 6, so and then he hits a great shot at 3 and 4, and then in the trees at 5 and 7, isn't he? And my goodness, and then of course then we get to the 13th hole. I'm thinking, what the heck happened there? 14, he was an absolute bag of nerves. I mean, understandably, he was from the outside, it looked like he was shaking going up 14. And 15, he then hits incredible shots, 15, 16, 17. And in 18, you know, I mean, it suddenly forgot. It just shows you when you get nervous, there's this area through impact where if you haven't made a commitment of getting through that, you end up like a jellyfish. You just don't get through. And, you hit a shot like that. So he had half a dozen of those, and you're right. So what would have happened, say, if Justin Rose had held that first putt in the playoff, and Rory had a fantastic putt, didn't even do anything wrong with the putt, and he did a full 360 and missed. He in 2 seconds he would have been gutted for life. He's gone from still the sting line, walking in fields of gold now forever, to being could be finished. Isn't it? What a game! I mean, that's sport. I mean, that's the harshness, or that's the knife edge of sport. He got away with it. I had a great evening where I went to the Inspirity tournament in Houston. I had Nancy Lopez, Tom Watson sitting there, Jack there, Annika there, Gary there, me, and we were all talking, obviously straight after, talking about Rory, and and some of the old boys were saying, he was fortunate you don't get that opportunity to screw up a couple of times that badly and get away with it. We went from fantastic shots to horrendous shots, and came out of it all right. So whether that gives him confidence or what, I don't know for the future. How he views his game, whether he thinks it's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one. How he even looks at himself. We've got to be great moments of the great shots. He must have a few nightmares thinking, how the hell did I block a wedge, into the creek at 13? I mean, goodness me. So, and get away with it. So, that was the most dramatic. That was the most dramatic television few hours I've ever done in my life. I mean, my God, we were wrecked from just trying to watch it and try and do commentary on that. It was unbelievable, wasn't it? Amazing.
It's amazing, isn't it, Augustus' propensity to give us those moments? Obviously, because we're so familiar and we go back there every year. But...
Yeah, well, that's the great thing, Augusta. I use that in my favor. You know that things happen. We've seen it all before, and everybody's seen it. And when you play there, you have moments where you think, this course is quite easy. It's just do this, and then you can be 5 over in 3 holes, and you think, I've only hit 2 bad shots. What the heck happened? It has this amazing ability to grab you, and then that's the scare factor. Then you suddenly realize, wow, I've got to really, you have to face your fears every blooming hole, in our game. When you've just screwed up, you promise you go to the next, and you're like, wow, I've got to deal with all this. I've got to deal, can't go there, mustn't go there, can't be short, can't be long. Okay, start again. I can promise you that goes through your mind, and then you have to find your positive way of dealing with all of that, and then picking the right shot, and off you go.
Well, I mean, a lot of people would talk about Rory's X factor, Sir Nick. I guess when people reflect on your career, they would say from the outside that your ability to do that, to overcome those mental challenges, was your sort of superpower, if you like. Is that, do you review your own game, or was there something else you're even better?
Yeah, well, I think back now. It's I'm trying to help youngsters now. And I would say, you're only as good as your weakness. So if you can get your weakness up, you've got good parts of your game, and a lot of guys will keep working on their good bits. But if your bunker shots are left. So I remember back at the end of '91 going, hang on a minute, my game wasn't good, and I thought, so let's go right. What's not bunker shots aren't good. And I remember going to Valderrama, and I said, right, I'm going to hit bunker shots all week. That's all I'm going to practice. Just bucket after bucket until you get good again. and then you get that level up. So you can't go out on a golf course and fear some part of your game, whatever it is, chipping, putting, bunker shots, driving, whatever it is, because it will get found. You'll get found out. You have to face it, and then you can't. And I remember I sort of said to myself, so what was my weakness? And I thought, well, I didn't have one. Not trying to, I can say it now 30 years later. It's not trying to be big headed. It's like, how can you get if you can get yours, exactly as I said, when you go out on the golf course and think, I have a complete game, I can handle anything. Whatever, because you're going to put yourself in situations and you've got to be able to not suddenly, because as I'm describing, if you fear a certain shot, you'll get found out. And then you make a mess of it, and then that spreads the whole fear, doesn't it? So I think and that's what you enjoy when you go off to play. I mean, I'm, as I sit here now, because it's half my life ago, 30 plus more years ago, and you think, gee, I used to get up in the morning on a Sunday morning thinking I'm trying to go out there to win the Masters or trying to win the Open or the other majors, and to think that was your mission, it's pretty darn cool. That's you were physically and mentally preparing yourself to do that. That was the job at hand for the day. I say jokingly now, I'd trip over in the car park. The clubs would fall out the bag. And to think, God, that's what I used to be able to do. Get up and think, right, it's like you've got your mind in a process. That's the mission of the day, isn't it? Can you come out on top? I think it's been amazing.
Talking about coming out on top like that, so Nick, so obviously you're still the last Englishman to win the Open. Obviously we've had Danny with the Masters more recently, but we have to go all the way back to 1992 when an Englishman won the Open. Does that surprise you, given the amount of sort of English talent at the top of the game?
But but it's almost what I'm describing. I mean, I'm not. Tommy Fleetwood was an obvious one, but Tommy struggles. He struggles trying to hit a fade, doesn't he? You saw what happened when he was in St. Jude. That one, he comes down, he had to hit to fade one, couldn't do it, and this sort of thing. Gosh, and even Justin Rose hit a couple of clankers, didn't he? He had 2 shanks in about 3 holes at Port, right? So it's literally what I'm saying. If you've got something in your swing that is just not working under the ultimate, it's what you can do under the ultimate pressure. But then on the positive, just for in Tommy's, when he made a mess of that at Travellers at the last, that can be a positive, because if you can work out what happened and why it happened, you push yourself to the max. You were at your max and something went twang, and so if you can work out what it is and deal with it, well, then you're going to be a better golfer. So my example I can give, I remember I was in French Open at Paris National at 15th hole, and I had a 5-iron into that green back in the day, and I think I probably hit in the water or something. I blew the tournament there, and it was the best moment because I vowed right there, I knew what I had to do. It was all about, impact, and that where I put my wrists to impact. And it was like, I now know that is the feeling I have to have. And I felt great after, I've just blown the tournament, and it's literally, I'd found as I'm trying to describe, I found the thing that blew my fuse right at the end, And I went on after that, and I won a tournament every month for the next 6 months. You won the Open, the Irish Open, the Open, blah, 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 whatever, European, whatever it was, match play. Because I'd found something, and you're only going to find it under the ultimate of pressure, isn't it? So that is a very important. I think that's how Tommy came through. He pushed himself to the limit, found out what was the weakness, whether it's physical, technical, mental, whatever it might be, and then you work on it, put it together. And this is what some people don't understand, that you have to find your max in anything, in business and everything. You have to find out where you fail. I'll give you a fun story. I went with Rory Vatanen when he was world champion. I went rally driving with him, and we went, and that was exactly. We went to Bagshot, the tank training course, and when I got in the car, he said, "Oh, the mission today is to break the car," and you're like. He said, I've got the gearbox man here, I've got the engine man here, the suspension. They want me to break the car. So you have to break the car to find out where your weakness is. Get me? Well, it was my greatest sporting moment because he was trying to break. You can imagine how hard he was trying. Every pothole, every rock he saw, he hit. It was the roughest. He was sitting there just going like this, and he changing gear every second. Changed gear, bang, 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 bang. He's like trying to break the car, trying to break. I'm like, freaking hell! It was so. It's quite a good example, and that's how you make something stronger. You have to break it to make it stronger, don't you? What a long-winded way of saying.
That's an excellent way to look at it. Turning a negative into a positive, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's people. And you're a better person for being in, and the other thing is when the media beat on you as well, isn't it? Like, they beat on you for blowing the tournament. It was just Tommy said, well, I'd rather be in trying to win a tournament and blow it than finishing 45th each week. Get me? So he was a very good example of putting all of that together.
And I'm going to take us on to some more sort of general the game and the changes in the professional game. And it feels like all the young players that we're seeing coming out, or nearly all of them, are sort of bombers.
Yeah, technology is really, obviously we're 30 years on, metal drivers, that sort of thing. The whole quality of a set of golf clubs is magnificent. It's incredible now, isn't it? Anybody can go down to any of these things, these test centers and what have you, and get a fantastic set of clubs. You get the shaft, everything fits you. Your own golf swing, your own golf DNA. How fortunate is that? From back in my era, it was, you grabbed a club and you adapted to it. You didn't even know with it. We didn't have the choices of the shafts and all sorts of things. We didn't have the knowledge, all sorts. And that has come on so rapidly now. So I really wish that when I think of it, I wish I had a decent set of clubs. Imagine if I had a decent set of clubs when I started at 15. Like kids have got now. Wow, what a difference. Who knows? Who knows what difference that would have made. So the technology is unbelievable. So it's obviously marrying the shaft to the head because, when they first brought out metal heads, the shaft wasn't good enough, couldn't handle the torque. In my day, I've still got them. It's hilarious how you saw those old photographs, how you got bend at the top of the backswing going down. And obviously when you started down, remember we used to have this famous picture where the shaft was bending the other way, wasn't it? As you pulled down, you had that. And then we had toe droop as well, where the shaft is bending this way as well. And then, of course, all that vibration, those famous pictures of when we used to take a picture of impact and the club would go do-do-do-do like that, wouldn't it, through impact? None of that happens now. The stability of a golf club is incredible. That's why, so my era, you could only swing hard enough where you didn't really distort the shaft. It's how good were you at just slowly stepping that up. So that's why we were the tempo or rhythm era, and hit it out the middle, hit it out the sweet spot because that was the best advantage you could get. Now, of course, the club is so darn good. You go at it 130 miles an hour now, and the thing is right there for you. Well, you'll find a shaft and head, so the thing fits you right there. And if you're good, you can feel fractions. You can feel, well, that was a bit late, that was a bit early, and all this sort of thing. That kick wasn't quite right. Well, we've got an answer for you now. We've got 101 different, and probably more, permutations. A pro can fine tune a driver now to the nth degree, which they do. So they know they can stand up and obviously we understand physical side now. Again, my era, we were guessing we were absolutely guessing and experimenting on physical strength and where it should come from and that sort of thing. And many got it wrong, didn't it? Many guys went weightlifting and ended up, like this and wrecked their golf swings. Of course, now they know how to train to get you physically stronger, moving faster, all that sort of thing, everything, flexibility. So it's a completely different. I honestly think there should be an asterisk on some of those course records back in the day. I give one good example was the Lazabelle shot 62 at Firestone. We were hitting 2 and 3 irons into the par fours. They literally and then I was on the call. And one of the famous ones was the 9th hole. We used to drive to the top of the hill. We had to hit a 3 iron to that green, which was the size of a dinner plate. It was a literally perfectly round green. And we were hitting 2s and 3 irons to that. And then I was on CBS, and it actually was Keegan Bradley. He whipped his driver down there 3 freaking 50 plus yards. He's got a gap wedge. And I said, that's not fair. It's not the same golf course, is it? I mean, if you shot 62 with a 2 iron in your hand, and then suddenly you're 62 and you've got wedges all the way, come on, you've got to. Not the same game. So, yeah, that's another long-winded answer of how technology is, and of course we got great feedback from TrackMan. I mean, I love TrackMan now. The fact you can hit one golf ball and you can fine-tune everything from path to spin and launch and every little. They've got something for every blooming part of the golf swing, and you can isolate. And that's the other really clever thing now. So you can isolate. I remember when they first brought it all out, the numbers were just all over. I said, well, that's a daft way of looking at golf course numbers, golf swing rather. But now when you understand, put it into categories and this sort of thing, and then you just, again, back to what I was saying, you then have to concentrate on what's a little off, forget all the other good, other stuff's all in green, and you get a couple of numbers in red, and think, well, how do I change those? Do you change them? Makes a massive difference to everything. So the game's going to keep going like that. Golfers are going to keep getting better. I mean, they must do, simply because the knowledge and everything is so darn good.
Do you believe in the need for a rollback of any sort then on that basis?
Well, yeah, I wanted to bring back ball striking ability, the skill of striking, because, as I was describing my day, as you know, size of our old driver and the sweet spot was the size of a pea, wasn't it? If you had to nail, that's what you see coming out the screws, right out in the middle. If you mishit it, we had a hook and a slice, and we lost 25 yards. So that's why if you were an excellent ball striker, you were in the top 5% of golfers. Now anybody can do that, because the sweet spot is probably the size of a quarter now. Completely different that. So I'm much more of a fan of, and we could do it I blurted out years ago, and I said, well, what about banning tee pegs then? Okay. And then I thought about it. So, well, if there was an official length to a tee peg for tournament play, and say it was 7/8 of an inch, well, that means you can't tee it up like that and get a 60-degree driver launching at 13. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that would change. Then thinking about it, so it's two things. The tour could say, hey guys, when we're playing a golf course under 7,100 yards, which is short, isn't it? So guys, no tee pegs this week. I mean, at Hilton Head, you'd hit 3 with it, but it's not stopping the guy who's good enough. If a guy's good enough to place it and hit a driver off the deck, all the power to him. If he can still run it out there over 300, that's the skill, isn't that? Mm-hmm. Good luck doing that on a Sunday afternoon. If you had to do it into the wind, well, that would be a skill. So, or here's another one which wouldn't cost it's just writing in a rule book. We could say, well, maybe the equipment, we had nothing less than 10 degrees now. 10 degrees is the max for a driver, or minimum for a driver, 10 degrees. And go the other end, we say, well, can we stop at 56 again? The wedges stop at 56, no more 60, 62s. That doesn't cost a penny. doesn't it, to write that in the rule book? I mean, these companies are going to spend hundreds of thousands retooling. And how do you mark it? Oh, this is our brand new golf ball. It goes 20% less than the old one. I mean, that's harsh, isn't it? That's cruel. So, yeah, I would love to bring back the skill somehow. Size of the face. I mean, as we know, the metal head, I love putting them down. I think I measured it. I think our one was either, I'm trying to get this right. I think our driver was either 1 3/4. To get a golf ball, 1 3/4 golf balls was the size of a face, and now it's 2.5. Get me? So they've got 3/4 of a ball more, which is, and with the technology, as I said, it's you basically got a sweet spot the size of a quarter, 10p piece.
Yeah.
So I think would bring back some skill. That would, all those little things, rolling back the ball. Bernard Langer made a great example, years ago when Bernard made the cut, didn't he? And he said, but I'm hitting Vettelwood into these par fours and I make the cut just. He said, if they roll back the ball, I wouldn't play. Actually, wouldn't play the tournament. I wouldn't, I wouldn't be able to reach anything. As you can tell, I'm not a fan of messing with the golf ball. Talk about a bit late. I mean, we've been talking about this for 40 years. This is the most amazing thing, isn't it? My goodness, this all happened. Seriously, it's not an exaggeration. I think early 80s. When they invented the Titleist, invented what they call it, the 384. Was it that thing, or 392? When the dimples all changed, and ever since then it's gone further and further, hasn't it? So I miss the good old Bellata days. Bellata and a wound ball is nothing. You could feel it. I can't feel this modern thing. I can hit a wedge and you say, is that gone 100? I said, it's either gone 95 or 105, and I can't feel the difference. When back in my day, you give me a Bellata, I could go, oh, that's 102, and boom, it would be 103 at worst.
Yeah, well, rollback and the equipment change is one of many things that we could talk to you all afternoon about. I'm sure, Sir Nick, and there's lots of other things that we'd love to dive in with you, but I know that we can't find time for everything. But I did want to finish with just one very quick question, which is, will you give us a score prediction for Bethpage?
It's easy. 15-13 to us, to Europe. It's going to be tight. I think it's got to be pretty much going to be tight. I can't imagine there's a lot going on. But yeah, I honestly think we can do it. We'll scrape it. That'll be pretty exciting. But yeah, I think the guys can do it. 15-13, I said that a couple of weeks ago. So it'll be a pretty epic week. It's going to be full on. There's a lot going on. My goodness, they've got a lot to deal with. They got the president coming on Friday as well. My goodness, so that will be it's going to be some atmosphere. So yeah, pretty darn good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sir Nick, for your time.
Sure,
it's been a pleasure to speak to you. As Ben said, someone grew up watching on TV, so
get out there and write a song, you guys.
Well, get thinking. Yeah,
well, there it is. 15-13. Found da 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 da.
The collab, yeah, I can hear it happening.
You've got to get the New York, haven't you? New York, it's concrete jungle and all that sort of thing. Here's a few clues for you.
There we go.
You could do a lot better than that.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Sir Nick, and thank you everyone for listening, and we'll be back with our next episode very soon.